I was writing a whole bunch of songs rather than writing an album.
Okay, hi.
Hey.
It's about 8 years since you started working on your music. That's a pretty long time ago. And you recently released your first album. Was there any frustration in that period of time that it took so long before your first record released for the first time see the daylight?
I mean, I've been working on my music for a long time. I think, like, you know, I think that the reason it took me so long to put out my first album was that I was never really kind of, you know, at a point where I wanted to, like, you know, where I thought I had an album that was, like, I had a collection of songs that I kind of called an album back in sort of '04, and I put out a couple of singles in Australia, and you know, they did okay. I mean, they didn't really sell any records, but I got a couple of awards from them and whatever. But I think it was just weird because I would make all this music all the time, but I never really got to a point where I was like, all right, cool, that's an album, you know, I've finished it. And I think it, you know, when I started working on Love and War, it was really, I was thinking of an album in the sense of it being, you know, you press play at the start and you know, and you finish listening to the whole album as a piece of music, you know. And I think that, like, just through doing that process and writing a lot of songs over the time, I sort of came to a point where I was really happy with it all, you know. So I couldn't be more happy with how it turned out, you know. I'm really proud of the album.
Yeah, what was exactly missing, let's say 5 years or 4 years ago? You say it's not...
Can I just interrupt for a short
Yeah.
while? Because I have to switch your thing a little bit louder.
Okay.
Sorry for this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, great. Thanks for that. Nice one.
So yeah, it's not mijn titel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we can pick it up.
Okay, yeah, well, what was missing, let's say 4 years ago? What it wouldn't make it a complete album?
I think it was, you know, it was just, I think I was writing a whole bunch of songs rather than writing an album. And I think there's a difference in sort of, you know, the mentality of making an album that you want to kind of listen to as a whole piece of music. You know, working with the Dap Kings as well was really kind of, you know, an anchoring sort of force in the whole album, because it was a constant through the whole album, you know. Like I would write a song and then I would kind of, you know, in the back of my mind I would know that when the Dap Kings played these songs, it would kind of bring a whole new sort of dimension to the way they sound. And I think with that kind of going on, it was kind of like, it was really fun to make, and I could kind of visualize it coming together.
Yeah, isn't it sometimes a little bit dangerous to rely a bit too much on the Dap Kings?
I don't think I was relying on them at all. I think that all those songs that I wrote, I could have put out an acoustic album. You know, I think the songs on there sort of stand up on their own. I don't think I was relying on the Dap Kings as much as I was. It was a fun way to make an album. It was kind of like there was a momentum to it. You know, it was like I would write a song, then I would go into the studio and have these great musicians play this music that I'd written. You know, and I think that just through that, it kind of like it was like a really quick process. You know, because, you know, the way that Mark recorded them was very much like we'd literally go in to, you know, Daptone Studios in Brooklyn, and we'd literally, like, you know, they'd hear the song, they'd learn it for about an hour or half an hour to an hour, and then they'd just start doing takes, and it'd be like 6 takes of each song, and then we'd sort of go through and sort of take the best parts. So it was really quick. It wasn't this drawn out process of recording all these instruments, you know, kind of separately and being like over cautious of doing things. It was like, well, that sounds great, let's use that, you know what I mean? So there was a lot more, I think, momentum doing that, you know, working with great musicians. You don't have to, you can kind of, you let them do their thing a little bit, and a lot of happy accidents happen along the way.